Hey guys, it's 2023 and we are careering ever closer to a general election. So prepare yourselves for 3 cast iron certainties with the Tories. Number 1, it's going to be announced sometime in the next 18 months. Number 2, the Tories will continue their campaign of having sexual intercourse with farmyard livestock. Number 3, the Conservatives have been behind in the polls for over a year, so you're going to see them get more desperate than your Uncle Phil when he took part in that video dating shit.
Oh, hi, I'm Phil. I like things, stuff.
You're being a bit vague there, Phil. What do you actually like?
Well, I just want a girlfriend.
Oh, God. What don't you like?
I don't like being lonely.
Right, but you've been alone for so long. You must be fairly good at it now, no?
Yeah.
Oh, do you feel bad now about the imaginary lonely uncle I just made up in my head? Anyway, so I thought the Tories are going to get desperate. They're going to fight dirty. So let's preempt their hilarious misrepresentations, their ducks, their dodges, their distortions, before they start copying and pasting them into their CCHQ WhatsApp chat groups. First up, the economy. We are currently tiptoe dancing on the edge of an economic sinkhole. We are the only major European country whose GDP is sitting below its pre-pandemic level. Our central bank is saying we're going to be in recession for the next year minimum. Now, why is this happening? Number 1, the Tories sucked Brexit's dick. Just with such abandon, just really cupping the balls, just really enjoying themselves with it to such an extent. Like, they loved Brexit. They were fobbing off attempts to scrutinise it, the repercussions it might mean. They prorogued Parliament to force the shit through. And so a departure that should have been managed carefully over the space of, say, 10 years was, because of them, chaotically rushed through. And now our businesses have to deal with added red tape, logistics delays, staff shortages. Our GDP is shrinking, while comparable economies in Europe are growing. India have overtaken us, and now they are the world's 5th largest economy. And even now, the Tories wank their dicks limp over growth, while dismissing the idea of rejoining the single market, even though they admit that it would lead to growth, which means they are actively, deliberately trashing the economy. And now, why is this happening? Part 2. So in the pandemic, fuel production, specifically natural gas, dramatically slowed down. And it takes a while for that shit to fire up again. That in parallel with formerly third world territories coming online and wanting things like electricity and heating created a tightening of demand. There was less gas to go around, and so some economies started paying more for it, the UK being one. And so everyone's gas bills went up. That fueled the biggest inflation for 40 fucking years. Now, the Tories could have stepped in with a meaningful price cap or nationalised the utilities. That would have nipped it in the bud. But presumably they didn't want to piss off the fat white golf club cunts they go putting with. And so we are where we are. Now, the Tories are going to try to misrepresent this and say it was caused by global factors. That is true, but not ones that they were unable to manage. I mean, Brexit is a global factor, but one of their own making. Ukraine is a global factor, but they could have stepped in to protect consumers from the price hikes, thereby nuking inflation and avoiding the need to continuously hike interest rates, thereby doubling people's rents and mortgages.
Now, when we attempt to talk about repairing the economy and rejoining the single market,
they're going to try to paint Labour and Lib Dem as out-of-touch, embittered Remainers. And we should be like, out of touch, right. Okay, because it's kind of funny because 2/3 of people now accept that Brexit was a mistake and actively want a second referendum. I mean, if any politicians, whether they're Tory or Labour, are still advocating for Brexit in 2023, it is demonstrably they who are out of touch.
But predictably, when it comes to the broad state of the economy,
the Tories are just going to try to blame inflation on lockdown and Putin. They'll be like, well, we all enjoyed the furlough party, but now it's time for the hangover. And we should be like, well, sure, but A, not all of us enjoyed furlough. Huge chunks of the economy worked through it. You may even remember clapping for some of them. And B, inflation comes almost directly from natural gas prices. I mean, furlough is expensive, sure. And it could have or should have resulted in tax rises. I can see that. But to say that furlough is the cause for inflation? Well, I sure hope you did a warm-up stretch for that leap you just made. Now, regarding the "this is all down to Putin" shit, like, Putin's invasion of Ukraine caused the inflation. This is at best misleading and at worst hugely disingenuous. In the UK, we get our natural gas from Norway and Qatar. Energy, and therefore inflation, are expensive because the international gas market spiked, the government failed to implement that meaningful price cap, and because they've spectacularly failed to invest in nuclear and renewables over the last 12 fucking years. It's going to be like, oh, why is the economy so shit? Oh, because Labour left it in a state, and Putin, and furlough. It always amazes me how the party of personal responsibility never fail in placing the blame at someone else's door. In fact, fuck it, that should be Labour's campaign slogan right there. Next time you see a Tory leafleter canvassing, just remember, they're not door knocking for votes, they're laying the blame at your door. I mean, the Conservative Party really have written themselves the perfect get out of jail free card, haven't they? Like, when you need some help, it's like, well, it's called a personal responsibility. It sounds like a you problem. But when they fuck up with a series of uncosted tax cuts that blow a £30 billion hole in the economy, then it's, well, we're all in this together, you know, it's global factors, and we're all going to have to tighten our belts and play our part. But hang on, I thought you said people should take personal responsibility. And then they'll be like, well, calm down, little plebby. Let me explain it to you. It's quite complicated for your little brain. It does make sense. You take personal responsibility for the problems that we cause you.